So we're getting so close to our application now, really getting to the point where we're going to be very close to something you'd be building for this week's assignment. We have a client GUI set up. Remember, we have two buttons inside of here, the two different things we're getting. And we're sending a data request over. And we're at the server where we're receiving that data request. Oops, sorry, we have the wrong server here. Let's get rid of these. At the server, we're receiving the data request, and we're ready to return something back. So what do we return back? Well, the easiest thing to return back at this point is just to create a new Java class to be able to return something back. So we can return back, in this case, a name or a place. So a name is just an object. And what we want to return back is going to be something like string private string first name, private string last name. Let me fix that capitalization there. Something just real simple like this. And so in your case, you're going to be doing a product, or you're going to be training a customer for the assignment. You're going to be doing something very similar, but the concept is still the same. So I'm going to add in getters and setters for this guy, and then I'm going to do alt insert one more time and add in a toString just to make my life a little bit easier. Just to be clean, I'm just going to change this to clean this up. First name plus, return first name plus a space and then last name. There you go. So I'll just do my little formatting here. I'm going to do first name and last name right there. So at some level, the assignment asks you to be returning back something read from a file. The best thing you do when you read something from a file is store that in an object. I don't want to be sending formatted crap back and forth across there. It's not the best design here. So what I want to do is I want to simplify your task a little bit. So when I receive back names here, I want to receive back a list, a collection of said names. And the server, when it goes and has names it wants to return, it's going to, again, return back said list or collection. Because, for instance, if I'm going to retrieve the names from a database as opposed to from a file, and then we'll be doing that later on, I don't want to return back text-separated things. That's not how database stores stuff. Database stores stuff in database format. We want to convert it into objects. So what I want to do in my assignment here, what I want to do a little bit cleverly here, is I want to create a little helper method inside of here. So I'm back in my server file. I'm in the server class inside of here. Let me make a method, private static, and it's going to return back a list, a Java, not an AWT list, a Java util list inside of here of name. Okay? And we'll call the method here get names. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to create a list of name as an array list of names. And then we're going to fill this with some random names. Okay, so let's create a name object. A new name object, name.set first name is Tony. Name.set last name, Lo. And then names.add name. All right, and I can do this again, just add more than one name out there. I don't need the create it again now, so I can say now this is going to be Bob Dole. I just saw a Facebook post with him in the news again. And then when I'm all done with this, we're going to return names. All right, so again, you're going to be creating products or customers. You're going to create an instance of product customers, and then we get it back here. And so now up here in our server work, we have this list of names that just recreated. So instead of saying that we're going to return the names, let's actually return the names here. Okay? So we'll say out dot write object, and I can write anything that's serializable. And oh yeah, by the way, if we want to write this back, let's make this serializable. Implements serializable. Control space. Right there. So I can return back this name object inside of here, and a Java list, an array list, is automatically serializable. It's created to be serializable. So what I can do is write out get names, and then I have to flush it. And then I'm done. All right. Probably what I can do is come down here and say socket.close, because you're making a request, you're telling me what you want, I'm returning that back to you, and then I'm done talking to you. Guess what we would be doing down here? We'd be writing an object of a similar method called getPlaces. I can do that right now. You can kind of figure that out. You can see the pattern. Hopefully do the same sort of thing. And that's what you're going to be asked to do as well, is to create a couple different classes of your own. But now my server, when you ask for it, instead of just printing something out, it's going to actually return something back to you. Okay, so on the client side, I have to be ready for that. Let me show you one thing real quick. So make sure nothing's running. Yep, stop anything that's running. So stop the server that was running before. Now we're going to run the server again. So let's hit the run button, and my server's up and running again, and let's run the client. So now at this point we have a client, and the client's running, and oops, I still think I'm still set on get places. So when I say get names here, it's return places. So I need to go fix my client here. Code, let's go to get names. Let's go back to names here. There you go. We'll run that again, because remember we did that in the previous video. So let's run this again. Run the client again. All right. And now let's say get names. And we're going to get an error here possibly. Yep. Write abort error that came up in my server. So what happened here? Why did I get this write abort error? Well, what happened was on the server, I had updated the server to write this object back out to the client. And it was expecting the client to receive that. But on my client code, I write out the server, I write out the request, and then I close the socket without receiving that information. So I have a mismatch instead of there. So anytime you see a write, this abort socket write error, it probably means your path, your plan, your design of who's expecting to say what when is wrong. It's kind of like if you have two actors in a play and they both say their lines at the same time. It doesn't work. It's a mistake. Somebody's doing something wrong. They missed their cues, if you will. Here, the same sort of thing. I have to script the conversation, say, okay, my server is waiting for the client connects and it says this. The server then responds with that. And I have to make sure it's ready for that. So that's what I need to do here. So after I write the object and flush it, then I have to expect an object to come back. So what am I expecting to come back? I'm expecting a list. Nope, a list. Control space, hit it again. There you go. A java.util.list of name to come back. All right, and where do I get it from? Well, I need to do a cast of this, just like we did before, from in.readObject. I know what I'm expecting to get. I'm expecting to get a list of names. I just asked for a list of names right here. If it returns something else to me, that's a problem. I can fix this real quick. You can see that right here it's going to be a, if I hit Alt-Enter, I can add a catch clause to this, or I can simply just say catch exception here. If anything goes wrong, we're going to do the same thing. All right, so I get a list of names back. Excellent. So now my communication should work, but I want to do something with these names. What do I want to do with these names? Well, that's where we come back to. If you remember our client GUI, we created the output area. So let's go through and we'll loop through our names here. So for name is in names. Oops, sorry, not equals, but colon names. For each name that we get back, we're going to get some list of names back for each name we get back. We're going to go to output area dot append, and we're going to append the name dot toString. Instead of there, and we'll do output area dot append a new line character inside of there. All right. So for each name we get inside of there, we're going to throw on the name we received back and then a new line, and that's going to go into the output area inside of there. Okay? So now our server is not running anymore, so let's start our server again. And then we're going to start our client. And let's see what happens. I say get names. There you go. Tony Lowe, Bob Dole. So now you can hopefully see we've added in the ability to have our two-way communication. We've added in our ability to have a specific data request to what's going on. We're writing that request out to the server. We're expecting something to come back from the server, and then we're printing out what came back onto the screen. On the server side of it, we, instead of just simply saying, hey, here's a placeholder right here, we're actually writing something back, and we're just writing back a list of objects. These objects can come from anywhere. They can come from a file, come from a database, come from whatever data source I want them to come from. It's not important right now. What's important is this backwards and forth communication. So now we've fleshed it out. I want to do a few more tweaks, show you a few more little things to make it fancy, but you should be very close, probably could even be ready to finish up your individual project for the week.